Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and today I'm going to be talking about the 2024 presidential election in Michigan and what the Republican Party can do to flip it back. As most of us know, Donald Trump did carry the state in 2016 over Hillary Clinton. In fact, this was a shocking win to most. The polls had him down by 3.6% on election day, according to Real Clear Politics' polling average. He was supposed to lose the state. Instead, he ended up narrowly, in an odds-defying win, carrying the state. He won a few counties that Biden ended up winning in 2020, such as Saginaw County, Leelanau County, and Kent County, the home of Grand Rapids. He also did better than expected in some working-class counties, especially Macomb County. This was an 11.5-point Trump county. Now, Biden lost the county, but he only lost it by 4 or 5. In fact, this county had been historically Democratic. Obama carried it twice, and in 2018, in the gubernatorial election, right here, I will pull it up, full Michigan results. In 2018, Debbie Stabenow, who's the Senate candidate, she carried the county, and Gretchen Whitmer, the governor candidate, carried the county as well, if I can pull that up right here. So this is a more historically Democratic-leaning working-class county, and it was pretty shocking to some people when Biden carried the county, or when Trump carried the county and ended up winning the state. So, first of all, I think we should take a look at a few things, and the GOP, they need to do three things to win back Michigan. First of all, I don't think it's likely that they win back Michigan in 2024. 2016 was a fluke year for the GOP. Well, not really fluke because everything happens for a reason, but everything went right for the GOP in 2016, essentially, and they only carried the state by 11,000 votes. So I think that Michigan, three things have to happen for the GOP to carry it in 2024. They have to do better in the suburbs, better in the rural areas, and continue Trump's streak with the working class, which is a pretty tall order. It's hard to find candidates who have appealed to both suburban voters and working class voters. So Trump, he was great for the suburb, or great for the rural part of the state. He was great for the working class, but he wasn't great in the suburbs. In fact, he helped fuel the suburban swing to the left. And Michigan has really become a big part of the Democratic coalition over the years because, look, this was a county, or this was a state that Democrats could rely on winning for, even when they lost elections, like Al Gore and John Kerry both lost their elections, they both carried Michigan. Gore carried Michigan by over 5%. He had a pretty big win in Michigan in 2000, but he still lost the election. And the last time, before 2016, the last time that Michigan had voted for a Republican presidential candidate was George H.W. Bush in 1988 over Michael Dukakis. And it still was pretty close. It was only a couple points that Bush won it by. So this is a state that had voted to the left of the nation in every election since that time. Even when Bill Clinton had his landslide victories, Michigan voted to the left of the nation. And then in 2016, it shocked the country and voted for Donald Trump. It was pretty close, obviously, as I mentioned, but Democrats, Hillary Clinton, she in her book "What Happened" that I've read, she said that she expected to win the state by 5%, and she didn't really campaign there. She ran ads there, of course, but she didn't really campaign there. She didn't. She kind of slept on it, to be completely honest, and I think that it was a very bad decision by her. She should have done more internal polling on it, and said what are the states that I could potentially lose that I don't think I'm going to lose. And Michigan, Wisconsin were two states that she expected to win, but that ended up going for Trump. Now, in 2020, Joe Biden comes around. He centers his campaign. A big part of that was getting back the working class. He did better than, He did better with Clinton. He did better than Clinton with the working class, but he still didn't do particularly good for a Democrat. He still ran significantly behind Obama. He still ran behind Gore and Kerry for the most part. So Trump was a great candidate for the working class. This is my first point that I'm going to talk about. Now, Donald Trump in 2020, what are some working class counties? I think the best example is Macomb County. And just to pull up a kind of a map of Macomb County, here I'll do it right now. Macomb is actually, it can be very, I guess you could say, very urban, but it's still very working class. Now, unfortunately, New York Times does not have the precinct data for the county just yet, but this is still a county that had a historically Democratic lean, and it ended up going for the Republicans, as I mentioned. And it's a very working class county, is what I'm trying to say here. And for Trump to come out and carry it in 2016, he did so well with the working class. His rhetoric really appealed to them. He spoke about jobs being sent away to China, and that was a key issue for a lot of working class voters who, the auto industry particularly, which was a big part of Michigan, in Michigan's history as a working class state, they build cars there. That was a big part of Trump winning in 2016, and then in 2020, for Biden to come around, center his campaign around the working class, and still only win the state by 3%. John Kerry did not even campaign here, really, to be honest. I mean, actually, he did. That was kind of a mistruth, I guess. But I guess Biden made it more of a focus on Michigan than Kerry did, and he still carried it by a similar margin than Kerry. That was not meant to be a pun, for the record. Not funny. But Michigan, the working class was a huge success for Trump. He still lost the state, and it was because he did poorly in the suburbs. Now, some suburban Michigan counties. I'm going to try to. Let me see. What can I do that would zoom in here? Okay, I guess I can't zoom in, but so suburban Detroit, it's kind of these counties around here, obviously. From Washington, kind of suburban. It's more the University of Michigan is. It's a big part of the Democratic coalition in Michigan, but mostly Livingston. Oakland is a big part of this. Macomb, kind of, but also up here to Lapeer County in Genesee County, and then Saginaw County is more kind of exurban, but it's sort of for another time. But the Detroit suburbs are actually suburbs in general, not only Detroit, but these suburbs are generally more Republican leaning. And then Trump, he was a populist candidate. Suburban voters like more moderate conservatives. Trump was a populist conservative, and that is great for him with the working class, as I mentioned. But suburban voters really did not like him, and for that reason, I think that they came out for Biden. They came out for down ballot Democrats like Gary Peters, and it made the difference in Michigan. If suburbanites had, if Trump had done as well as suburbanites as Mitt Romney did in 2012, he would have won the election. But he didn't because of his rhetoric that hurt him. Now, of course, this isn't to say that Romney's a better candidate than Trump. That's not true. Romney is significantly worse with rural voters and working class voters, but Trump did not do as well as Romney did with suburban voters. And the last thing that Trump or that Republicans need to do, the suburbs are a big part of Trump losing the state, but he did pretty well in the rural part of the state. Now, taking a look at the 2012 election results in Michigan, here I'll pull it up right now. Mitt Romney did not do as well as Donald Trump in the rural area, or up here, I guess. Now, as you can see, first of all, Obama won a lot more counties than Biden. He did worse in, some of these suburban counties like Oakland. He did worse in Livingston. He did worse in Washington. He did a little better in Monroe, but he did worse for the most part in the suburbs, which I think we all know. He actually did worse in Kent County, which is where Grand Rapids is. This was as well as Leland now, Grand Traverse area. But for the most part, in the rural part of the state, like just taking a look at a random county, Crawford County, which is a 10-point, this was an 11-point Romney county. Trump carried this county in 2020. Here, let's pull up Crawford County. He carried it by 30.7%, 20-point swing to the right. I could do this all day. Montgomery County. This was a 17.5-point Romney county. Montgomery. Let's find Montgomery over here. This was a county that Donald Trump got 71% of the vote in. These are counties that are swinging hugely to the right that Mitt Romney did not have the appeal for. So, Donald Trump, we can criticize him for his performance with suburbanites, but he did miles better than Romney in these more rural working class counties. Macomb, as I mentioned earlier, I talk about Macomb a lot. For me, there are two M's that I think of when I think of working class counties in the Midwest: Macomb, Michigan, and Mahoning, Ohio. We can talk about Mahoning in a later video, but Macomb was an 8-point Trump county. Mitt Romney lost the county, and he lost it by around 4%. So it was still competitive, but Obama won it. So that's what Democrats need to do to start winning, or that's what Republicans need to do to start winning these elections again. Now, of course, sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought. To be honest, there was a lot of background noise. You might have heard that like 10 seconds ago in this video. I had to go up, I take the long walk up from my desk and close my door, but kind of lost my train of thought there. My apologies for that. But again, rurals, working class, suburbs, 3 keys to the Republicans winning in Michigan. So, we can talk about these keys, and it's hard to find a candidate who's like, who can the GOP run that has appeal to the suburbs, the working class, and the rural voters. It's not Trump. It's not Romney. It's Ron DeSantis. I made videos talking about how good of a candidate he is on paper. He would get close. He wouldn't do he'd do maybe a little worse than Trump in the rural areas, but he'd come pretty dang close to how well Trump did in these rural parts of the state. He could do basically as well with the working class. We'll have to see, and he'd do significantly better in the suburbs, which is why I think he'd do so well in Michigan. I think he's the only Republican who could make it a toss-up. Anything else, it's lean to likely D. So that's my takeaway. I think the Republicans need to run Ron DeSantis. He can have appeal to these voters that came out for Joe Biden in these suburbs. So again, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, smash that like button, and I'll see you all next one. Goodbye.